Hey there everybody, and welcome to a tutorial on how to create a 3D plane in After Effects. This is a great way to be able to have video on your wall, so to say, or have video in a specific spot. So although the tutorial is going to be a little bit tedious and technical, we'll definitely get through it. It's not too hard of an effect to pull off. So first off, go ahead and double click in your project window and make sure you get all the files you want to use. I'm going to actually use just one picture and one movie file, and then after I show you the original look, the second look I'll show you really quick will be with another video file as well. So let's open them up, and I'm going to start by bringing my movie clip down to the timeline. You'll notice that it's just a very simple shot going from a left to right tilt showing the walls. I'm actually for this tutorial going to click on my timeline down here with the playhead at 5 seconds and do a command shift hold down and hit the letter D to slice my layers, and I'm actually going to chop off the whole first part. So I'm only going to get the last little bit of it, and you'll see why in a little bit. After that, when you click on your layer, go up to Effect, Perspective, 3D Camera Tracker. Now this will apply a filter over here, and you'll notice that across your screen you'll end up seeing a thing that says Analyzing in Background Step 1 of 2. And then you'll notice at the top left that's actually calculating each and every single frame. It's basically trying to track what motion is happening within your camera movement, but it's also going to make these little track marks that we can end up selecting. That way we can end up actually putting something into the scene that wasn't originally there. You'll notice though that the reason why I cut this down to only 5 seconds was because if I had it at the full 10 to 15 seconds, it would have took a really long time for it to get done. So be prepared if you have a long clip you want to analyze in order to do this. So here we go. It's going to end right now, solving camera. And now you'll notice that I have all these little markers. And when I hover over some of them, I get this big red circle. This big red circle is basically where I would end up applying the actual plane. So, with this target up, when you figure out where you want to go, do a right click on your mouse and go to Create Solid in Camera. This will usually put one big square right over top of your footage. Don't worry, because we're going to end up fixing that in the long run. And we're going to start right away. We're going to go to our track solid and make it the bare or the maximum of 5 seconds as well. Make it a little bit less than that so it doesn't cover up the whole screen. So there you go. Right now as it tracks, it has that big square in the middle. So next step we're going to do is we're going to go over to track solid. We're going to right click and we're going to end up making it a pre-compose. So when the pre-compose comes up, just write green screen and then leave all attributes in the actual movie file and then just click OK. So you'll notice now that although we are in comp MVI 1371, we also have another composition inside of this one. So now we can double click on this and open up just the composition of the square itself. Now when we do this, we're actually going to get rid of the solid, and the reason being is because we're going to replace it with a new solid by right clicking in your timeline to the bottom left, and we're going to make a lime green solid. So this will basically be our green screen. So we'll end up hitting OK. It'll cover the space, and then you'll realize if you go back to your other composition, right now it's a big green square in the middle. So this is the part where we're going to start resizing. You'll notice that on your solid you have little markers on each side, just like as you've seen before. You can actually click and drag these to make it shorter and to scale it. On the other hand, you have these little arrows, a blue, a red, and a green. These are the 3 different axes of 3D space that the green screen is on. So you can move it to the left, you can move it up, you can even move it backwards if you want to, any which way. just to try to get that perfect feel. So for this quick demo, I'm just going to try to do a rather quick cover of the blinds here, or the curtains, sorry. I obviously don't know my housekeeping materials that well. And I'm going to stop right here because I don't want to be too meticulous with this. Although if it was a real situation, I would be. So after you end up having this to the exact size you want, you'll notice that when you play it back, it stays in that place. And it stays in that place because of that 3D tracker we made. Pretty cool stuff, right? But wait a minute, we don't actually have anything there yet. So let's go back to our green screen composition here. And then go back up to your project window. And now what you're going to do is you're going to click and drag either your video or your still frame down to the timeline and above the green screen. Now you'll notice in this one I have a creepy looking skull. I'm going to left click and shift click and drag and make it fill the whole green screen. By doing so, when I go back to my other composition, now you have a creepy skull within the curtains. Last but not least, we want to make sure this blends into the scene. So whenever you're doing like a Google search for images, or whenever you're trying to put any other element of video in, you want to make sure that it has a black background. The reason being is because with the black background, you can do a mode called screen, which is what we're going to do. We're going to go right down to our green screen comp, go to the mode, left click on it, go up to screen, and when we do so, it'll take the black completely away. And you'll notice that just extremely lightly within the curtains, we have that creepy skull there still. So let's just try to render it really quick and play it. You'll notice that as the camera moves, it's staying in position. So you can do the exact same effect with placing it on a wall, so to say. Now, what happens if we don't want the still image, but we want a video? Well, it's basically just the same thing. You can end up taking a video file, which I'll take one of my original ones here. I'll take my skate one. And you can put that right above the green screen. And then you can reposition it to where it will actually fit. So, for example, do a left click and shift hold to even it out. There we go. And now when we go to the actual clip, although it's hard to tell, you'll notice that my video is in there now, and we should be able to see a few skaters go by if it's a long enough duration. I'm not sure if it will be. I might have to alter that really quick. Alright, so let me alter it just ever so slightly so you can actually see these guys skate by. So let's see here. I'm just back in my green screen composition. There we go. Have a few skaters going by. And now when I play over here, you'll notice that my video's actually inside of the curtain. So, basically, there you have it. There's a really quick rundown of how to do 3D planes. And coming up next is the tutorial in how to do wrapping around 3D text, which basically follows a lot of the same things we just learned in this tutorial. If you have any questions, concerns, please contact me at brandonscottbose@gmail.com or my Facebook, Brandon Scott Bose. Thank you guys, and we'll see you for the next tutorial.